This speech by Leslie Herod was originally given at the 28th Annual Colorado Youth Diversity Conference on January 30th, 2021. The conference was organized by Youth Celebrate Diversity and presented by RBC Wealth Management, with support from Boeing, Cherry Creek Schools, and Colorado State University. We're so excited to welcome Representative Leslie Herod as our Saturday keynote speaker. Representative Herod was elected in 2016 as the first LGBTQ+ African American in the General Assembly. House District 8 is located in Northeast Denver. She serves as the chair of the House Finance Committee, vice chair of the House Judiciary Committee, and chair of the Committee on Legal Services. Representative Herod also chairs the Colorado Black Democratic Legislative Caucus and the Arts Caucus. Since her election in 2016, Herod has sent 68 bills to the governor's desk, marshaling through numerous pieces of legislation addressing criminal justice reform, mental health and substance abuse, renewable energy, youth homelessness, and civil rights protections. In addition to winning re-election in 2018, Herod championed a ballot initiative, Caring for Denver, that will raise at least $35 million annually for mental health and substance abuse treatment and services for children and adults in Denver. The initiative passed overwhelmingly, with nearly 70% support from Denver voters, and has created the largest mental health foundation in the state. While a student at CU Boulder, she co-founded New Era Colorado, the state's leading organization focused on the engagement of young people, with Congressman Joe Neguse, Senate Majority Leader Steve Fenberg, and Lisa Kaufman, now Chief of Staff for Governor Polis. She serves on the board of directors for Urban Peak, Colorado's leading homeless youth service agency. In 2019, she was featured in 5280 magazine. In 2018, the Interfaith Alliance of Colorado awarded Herod with the Force for Good Award. Urban Peak presented her with its Maverick Thinker Award, and she was chosen to give a TED Talk on the importance of providing free tampons for female inmates. Please join us in welcoming Leslie to the virtual stage.
Well, hello, everyone. I'm State Representative Leslie Herod. It's good to be here with you. I represent House District 8, which is in Central and Northeast Denver. Today, I'm actually hosting a vaccination clinic for our seniors in Northeast Denver, and was lucky enough to get these nice digs from one of our seniors who's downstairs getting vaccinated right now. So it's fun to be here, and I'm shocked at how clean people's houses are at a last minute notice. Mine is not. But I just want to thank you all for focusing so much on diversity and for being active in your communities. You know, I started out as a student leader. I started out when actually I was like in the 4th grade. It started running for office, but eventually went to CU Boulder and realized that my campus was not as diverse as I thought it would be. You guys probably know the experience of being told that you're going to walk into a place that's diverse, or being shown photos of people that look like a rainbow of folks, and then you walk in, you go to class, and it's only one type of person. For me, that was my experience at CU Boulder. I walked into an auditorium-style classroom, and I was the only African-American female in the room. And it wasn't just one class, it was class after class after class. So I got with some of my colleagues, some of my friends, the ones who you heard about earlier in my introduction, and we said, why shouldn't we have representation on student government from all of the student groups and support each other? Muslim students, Jewish students, Black students, white students, Chicano students, all of us coming together, and let's make this campus a place that we all feel welcomed. And so we did. We ran for student government. We took over every single seat as the Progressive Caucus, and eventually I became the president of the largest student government in the nation, ran a $36 million budget before I was 20 years old. And so I'm proud to be able to do that work, but it wasn't just about getting elected, not then and not now. When I was a student with Student Fee Autonomy, we fought for things like making sure that there were domestic partners for LGBTQ couples. And guess what? Back then, that was a huge deal. And folks did not want to allow it to happen. They thought the sky would literally drop out and fall down and meet the earth if we allowed queer folks to have access to healthcare benefits. And we still pushed forward anyways. And being the largest student government in the country, we became the first in Colorado to allow for those benefits. The first state employees got benefits as domestic partner benefits. And guess what? The sky did not fall. Yes, extra dramatic, did not fall. And Colorado then followed suit and gave domestic partner benefits not only for state employees, but for everyone. So young people can not only be a part of the change, but young people can lead the change and can push in places where adults don't want to, and folks who are used to the status quo don't want to. We saw that happen again over the summer with the Black Lives Matter movement that, yes, I was a part of, proudly so, where folks right out in front of the Capitol, right out in front of our workplace said, we demand change for Black lives. We're not going to just keep talking about it. This must end now. The discrimination, the murder of Black and brown people at the hands of law enforcement, and just the discrimination that's happening across the board. We're done talking about it. We want to do something about it. And I told my colleagues, listen, you can pretend like this doesn't exist, but it's real hard when you have thousands of people in front of the state capitol every day demanding change, and you're getting emails from folks in your community across Colorado telling you that they want change. And I tell you what, those protests worked. We passed Senate Bill 217, law enforcement reform. We were the first in the nation to end qualified immunity for law enforcement and to fight for real change so that people don't have to continue to die, you know, and that if someone violates your rights, that they could be held accountable. But our work for equality does not just end in police accountability, right? We've got to look at making sure that there is mental health care for everyone before they reach crisis, right? We've got to make sure that our education system actually starts dealing with this vast disparity in achievement for people of color versus our white counterparts and says we are all valued, and we're going to make sure that we have an educational system that values what you bring to the table. And we're going to fight for all of our students, right? We got to make sure that we are together fighting for this planet and fighting for environmental justice and ensuring that the communities that are disproportionately impacted by pollution actually have a say in the change that will happen. And we've got to hold these corporate polluters accountable. We can't just talk about not using straws. We've got to talk about the manufacturing of plastics, right? And the manufacturing of so many things that go into our system that into our communities that are doing us harm. You know, I am someone who has asthma, right? I got asthma from living in a community that people didn't care about, for being exposed to pollutants. And I am not alone. We got to change that. We can do that. And we can make our lives better and our planet better for everyone who is here. And so we have got a lot of work to do. So many issues I didn't even talk about that we must address. And let's not forget that as we are going through this global pandemic, and yes, we are here today giving out vaccines, this is not the last pandemic we're going to see. And we need to make sure that we have an equitable response, that we are not just saying health disparities is something that we can just live with, but instead that we start addressing it, and that more of you all take this fight for diversity into the medical setting too, and say that we all deserve care that is fair and equitable, and that we all deserve treatment when we need it. That is what we're fighting for here today too. So let's do this work together. Let's fight together, and just know that the relationships that you are building alongside of each other right now will last so much longer than your time in, you know, high school or college or wherever you are. But you can take that into your career and into your change making as you continue to take on all of these global challenges. I'm proud to do it with some of my friends who we started these organizations with. I know you'll do the same. So let's get in there, let's roll up our sleeves, and let's fight for change in our communities and beyond. Thank you so much for having me. I look forward to a couple questions. I'm not sure how we're going to facilitate this, but I'm seeing the chat. So why don't we do this? I know. Thank you for the applause. I see some standing ovations in the chat. Y'all are awesome. Rolled up your sleeves and ready. So great. Listen, don't forget to follow me on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And if you know how to do a TikTok and want to help me do a TikTok, you can follow me there too and send me some pointers, because I don't know what I'm doing on that channel. I leave all that to my amazing friend, Tay Anderson, who is running the TikTok world. I do have one. It's not cool. I got one, but it's not cool. Y'all got to help me. I'll send you videos. My Instagram is Leslie, at Leslie Herod, Herod. Same on Twitter, and then Leslie for Colorado on Facebook. So I see some questions. What is your biggest challenge in getting to where you are? Listen, some of my biggest challenges are getting people just to understand that the disparities that we talk about are real and that they actually exist. And that LGBTQ people, Black folks, people of color, young people, all deserve a voice in the process. People literally don't get that. They don't agree. And you gotta like keep telling them that until they see. So that's one thing. The other thing is, honestly, it's working with folks who think that because I'm queer, I'm gonna go to hell and I don't deserve to be able to speak. That's real. Y'all know this. Y'all experience folks who think just because of who you are, that you are less than. But what I gotta say is one of my biggest rewards this past year was working with one of my colleagues who had consistently brought forward anti-LGBT legislation. And I continue to work with him. He represents a conservative area. And just recently, he wrote me a very personal letter that basically said that his biggest mistake was bringing those anti-LGBTQ bills to the floor, and that he wishes he could take it back, and that he's learned so much and grown so much, and he will not bring homophobic bills forward anymore. That is real change that we can do. So I'm really proud of that. So how do we call out racism in our legislation? I call it out. Let me just be real. I talk about it. I make sure that we have people of color coming in talking about it themselves. And I also expect my white friends, colleagues, counterparts, allies, champions to speak up too. Yes, it's important to step back and let people of color speak, but it's also important for you all as our white allies to challenge the status quo right alongside with us. You do have a say and a voice in this conversation. Make sure it's not overwhelming, but do your part for change. Sitting back is complacency. It's not the work. Do the work with us. So are you doing any collaboration with law enforcement? And so what in particular? I always work with law enforcement. My dad was actually a law enforcement officer of 30 years. So best man I know. So my legislation is not anti-law enforcement, but what it is about making sure we have the right people in our communities doing the work. We have amazing men, women, non-binary folks who are serving in our community as law enforcement. But for too long, bad ones have gotten away with, quite frankly, murder and other forms of discrimination. So I've run bills to hold them accountable. I've run bills to hold people accountable for rape in police custody, because that was something that there was no accountability for. We've got to do better. Violating our constitutional rights, we've got to do better. And lifting up the profession does nothing but keep our entire community safe and ensures that those who do wear that uniform are safe as well. Check out my newest TED Talk. It is live now, where I talk about the work I'm doing with law enforcement to bring more mental health resources into our communities. And that is in partnership and arm in arm with our Chief of Denver, Chief Paul Payson. And finally, I just want to mention one more thing, which is make sure that we include our artists and the arts in our advocacy. There's people who like me, who like to give talks and who can talk and do policy, but there's also like artists who really fight to inspire and to bring out creativity in all of us. Make sure that if you are fighting for change, that you've got the arts community with you too. We need singers, dancers, writers, drawers, everyone to come together to make change. You know, my uncle was an artist for the Black Panthers, and I didn't get to know him very well, unfortunately, but I know that the Panther movement would have been a movement with the artists. Dr. King marched on Washington, and he was led by the sounds of Negro spirituals, Nina Simone, and so many others who led that fight with the passion of the people, and that's what we need. Bring the artists with you. So that is my advice to you as young people. And then my other advice is just don't give up. Keep fighting. You know, people will tell you all the time it can't be done, or that's not how it's done. Listen, you know, there's always time to evolve and make change, but also don't accept the status quo. Don't accept that you can't do it. Get out there and figure out how to get it done. All right, and stay committed. So thank you all so much. My thoughts on AOC, check out my Instagram. You'll see me with her. I believe that it takes all kinds to make the change that we are fighting for. We might not agree on everything, but I damn well agree with her on a lot of stuff. Let's get it done together. All right, bye everyone. Enjoy the rest of your conference.